Hey everyone, I have an update on quantum computing stocks. The ticker symbol for the ETF that we can track, and then there's individual names we'll look at. But the ticker for the ETF is QTUM. This is an ETF that I think, conceptually, quantum computing is a great story. It has a lot of upside. It had a big run in late last year, and now it's been consolidating for 2 months. I would argue that it has to probably hold and close above 86 on a daily closing basis in order to actually be a breakout. From a trend following perspective, QTUM, as you'll see here on our trend following work, is obviously in a bullish trend. It's been in a bullish trend really almost without stop, a couple of days here and there without sort of pausing, but really it's been in a bullish trend, let's say at the very least since November 2023, the green background color, so 80% move, and it again it's consolidating, and it looks like it might go higher. However, what's important when we do this kind of analysis, we need to understand what the holdings are. And so when I look at this ETF and look at some of the weights of individual stocks within this ETF, it's a fairly equally weighted ETF. Most things are somewhere around 1.5%. Now, obviously, 2% is twice a holding of 1%, but nevertheless, that's kind of fairly equally weighted if you compare that to like the S&P 500, which is way out of whack in terms of being equally weighted. So it's not like one stock is going to completely change the story, but it does have its largest weighting as Palantir. So, and when you look at Palantir, and we can argue now over valuations and whatever, that's a longer story, but it is one hell of a move that the stock has done. Does not mean it can't continue for a while, but it's also the kind of stock that can easily correct 30-40%. And if that happens, then from a sentiment perspective, whether it's D-Wave or Rigetti, and some of the other sort of quasi-larger holdings will struggle. And that, in turn, I would argue, would then be difficult for the ETF to break out higher. So long story short, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think there's a great story here, but I really would want to see Quantum, the ETF, break and hold above 86, and then make sure that I see some of these other stocks here really participating. We've seen big rallies in a lot of these names. Alibaba, we've been all over that one, both from a trend following perspective and from a momentum perspective. If you are a Inner Circle or TST Trender user, we've talked about that from a momentum perspective. So they've had a lot of big moves, and so I'm not quite sure how much more vertical they can go in the near term, which is also why I really think if this thing wants to break out, for some reason, it really has to give us a close above 86 on a solid daily closing basis, and then maybe it can start breaking higher. Otherwise, I would argue this is going to fall into a further consolidation phase. So heads up and update there on QTUM.